Simon could do the talking. I mean, I drew the short straw on this one, so. But I'm Australian and he's French, so I speak only slightly better English. So we decided that I better be the speaker. Yep. Yeah. So Simon and Luke, we're from Pop Rideshare. That was a pretty good introduction. Very briefly, again, we're a long-distance ride-sharing platform. So the emphasis is on long distance there because it's for city to city, or city to village to city, or any of those will probably work. But basically getting to, say, Whistler or Kelowna or Tofino, all the way through to Calgary, those kind of distances. Yeah, so we'll get started. We've had 50,000 people sign up so far. Most of it's in BC and Alberta to date. As you can see on the map, we have like a cluster of activity on the West Coast, a cluster on the East Coast. We're only officially operating in Canada. There's a handful of people in the States who seem to be desperate for long-distance ride-sharing, and they're getting their hands dirty. So the eastern side here, that's actually quite new. So we've just recently pre-launched in Quebec, and we haven't actually launched in Ontario yet, but we're seeing a really nice activation there already, so it's pretty exciting. Yeah, so we'll focus local today. This is a search result for Vancouver to Squamish, which is one of our most common routes that we see being applied. So you can see all the different drivers here. We have Fernando, Lauren. We're going to focus in on Patrick here, the third one down. Now, Patrick is one of our classic users. He's a commuter. So he drives to Vancouver 5 days a week, and he puts his trips up in both directions, and he fills his seats more often than not. So he's already driven around 600 people. 607 people, and you can see various things on here. So he's got 404 friends. I'll let you judge what that means, that he's driven more people than he has friends on Facebook. I think it's impressive. He's driven 25,000 kilometers. That's more than halfway around the planet, I think, at this point. And yeah, you can basically get a gist of what the guy's like by reading all of the qualifications he has and his prior experience, what people are saying about him. That's all critical information for the trust-building aspect of the platform. Anik, she's a different kettle of fish. She's a little unusual in that she has ridden 37 times and driven 14 times. So she's a rider and a driver. They're a bit of a rare breed. But she uses it primarily to fuel her adventuring around BC and into the Okanagan for cycling trips, up to Whistler for skiing. And that's the other major demographic that we see, are people who just want to get somewhere and do something fun. So Anik's a really good example of that. So we're going to walk you through the basic use of the platform. We're going to post a trip from Burrard Station up to Squamish. And we're going to stop by Horseshoe Bay on the way, pick people up from the ferry if they happen to be coming in. Simon and I are actually going to do this trip. So we're not just throwing something up there that we're going to tear down later. We regularly drive to test new features that we're deploying, one of which is a fully new review system, which we're still working on. So you can see the car that's going to be driven, the dates, the number of seats available, and the pricing, which is driver-controlled but capped by our platform. So we have calculated what we believe is a fair maximum, and a maximum which helps drivers keep within carpooling legislation in BC, which is where you can't exceed the maintenance and running costs of your vehicle. But as long as you don't, then you can take people with you, and there's no change in like tax liability, and it's not declarable income. So we're going to post that trip now, and yeah, voila. And we have all of the information here that people find, and they can read about the pickup and drop-off points. And at this point, to demonstrate the other side of the equation, we'll jump over to our application. We have iOS and Android apps. Actually, it'd be awesome if you all tried to install it at once and we could take down TELUS Wi-Fi. I thought that would be a pretty interesting experiment. So Simon has performed a search, and it's very similar to the web. He can find his own trip that he's posted. This is my account that he's now using, so hopefully he doesn't message anyone or anything. Yeah, you can see the same detail again, pick up, drop off, and a big shiny request to book button. So my credit card details are already in here, so normally if you're a first-time user, you would put them in at this point. Mine have been persisted and they're saved in our back-end payment processor securely. The booking fee is 15%. So Simon has asked for $7, and we apply a 15% booking fee on top of that, and that's how we run the business. So the total comes in, and you type out a bit of a message for your driver in French, apparently. Yeah, so we're gonna go to the swimming pool. Splish splosh, yeah. Yep, so he's made the request, and at this point, he has received a request. He gets notified on his phone if he's got his app, or if he's on the web, he also gets notified. At which point, he needs to take a look at my request and decide whether he wants to take me or not. You gonna take me? Okay, sweet. So he's approved the request, and at this point, my phone buzzes and it says, "Hey, Simon's approved your booking," and it updates, and there you can see my face in the little booked area. So you get to see who else is driving on the trip as well. So it's all very sort of transparent and open in that sense. So that's it in a nutshell. We have a promo code today for the passengers in the audience. I really encourage you to use it. It's just TechVan 2017. It'll knock $5 off your trip. So Squamish is actually about $7 normally. So it becomes a matter of a few dollars to get to Squamish for a quick run up the Chief. Passengers, use that, please. Drivers, post your trips. If you're going somewhere in the next couple of weeks and you've got some spare seats, you should fill them up. You'll meet some cool people. You'll help out with your costs. You'll earn some money. And that's just about it. We're going to be, as part of our expansion into Eastern Canada, we will be raising a seed round later in the year, so if there's any investors in the audience and this kind of enterprise is up your alley, you should come and talk to us. We'd be very happy to answer your questions. So yeah, thank you.